Guys, let's go. It is 10:40. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Guys, thank you guys for being here. It is very much appreciated. Nothing but love for you guys. I will say off the rip, I will be turning off the alert box. That doesn't mean don't follow, don't sub. No, but I will be turning off the alert box here just so it doesn't take up and interrupt a lot of the rankings and in case anything's going down. Want to make sure that we can kind of focus here on the power rankings. So yeah, man, guys, welcome to the top 20 company power rankings in their prime. This is in the Willyverse, guys. This is in the Willyverse. So essentially what that means is this ranking, this listing was made when I started shoutcasting, when I started streaming, which was 6 months ago, guys. We literally passed 6 months. Also, guys, happy birthday. Happy birthday. This is New World's 1 year birthday here coming in hot. So wanted to kind of do this together as a community, kind of bring together a lot of the companies, new and old, together to talk about, in my opinion, the top 20 company power rankings in their prime. So guys, to further ado, let's get this going. Let's get this rolling. Let's go, guys. And first off, guys, off the rip here, we got so many companies. Look at all these companies. Look at all. We got a lot of people in here. It's really cool, dude. There's a ton of companies. I wanted to just fit as much as I could into a slide as possible. It's just really cool, right? There's so many people that have played this game. There's so many people that have came and went. So I just wanted to kind of have a little showing of some of those squads, some of those companies that made their way into my sights, into the stream, into the cast. So you love to see it, guys. Just wanted to have this little showing here. So yeah, let's go. Let's get it going. Let's get it going here, guys. Let's go. But guys, first, trigger warning. Trigger warning, guys. This is a trigger warning. This is not a drill. Guys, before we get into this, guys, this is all for fun. This is all for fun. I know New World Knockout's gonna be bumping. I know that y'all are gonna be like, Willy, I'm pissed. Why you gotta do this? Why? You're wrong. Look, guys, it is literally all for fun, guys. I wanted to do this as a way to bring the community together and talk about our companies as one, reminisce on some old wars. And that was kind of like my idea. It is the birthday of New World, and what better way to wrap it up that way? Also, I will explain right here. So guys, what does in their prime mean? To me, in their prime means when a company was at their best. Now, when a company was at their best, now that includes the influence that they had on the server. That includes, the competition that they were fighting, things like that. And with all of this being said, this is absolutely not a ranking of, okay, does modern in their prime beat supple in their prime? This is not that ranking. I'm not like having imaginary fights up against companies here. That's not the case. So this is solely the influence, the impact that the company had on the server, what they were doing together as a company, and what it meant. So that is what this is about. Once again, one last thing here. This again is for fun. So don't roast Willy too hard. I'm not looking at the chat already because you never know. This is for fun, and yeah. So let's get it going, guys. The trigger warning is out of there. A little bit of the details on what I think. And again, also, guys, this is all opinion. So don't, look, this isn't written in stone. Everybody's gonna have a different opinion here. So let's get it going. Let's get it rolling. You guys, I'm sure, have your own. So guys, let's go. Let's go here, guys. Number 20 gonna be coming in hot, guys. Number 20, guys, let's go. And we got APHOTIC, dude. Look, I had to put some APHOTIC at number 20 here. I put APHOTIC at number 20. I'm not reading chat. I already know, dude. I'm sure there's question marks. I'm sure there's Willie's bad. You're trolling, but guys, APHOTIC is a staple in Eternum who still fight to this day. I would say when APHOTIC was most dominant was back in Ahono when they worked together to take out opposition and birds. They did work with COPIUM. They ended up holding multiple territories, including Everfall. I believe at the time, guys. Look, it's a while, okay. I went as much VODs as I could. I dug up as much as I can. They moved to COS and became scary on there for a second, but does end up taking a backseat role nowadays. Either way, APHOTIC's still around and still fighting. And the reason why I think APHOTIC did good in their prime here was because not only did they work well with COPIUM to kind of take over that Ahono scene, because Birds and Op are doing a very good job, but APHOTIC worked well with COPIUM. They were very dominant at the time, and then even when they went to Castle of Steel, they took multiple territories. So I think like that stint was actually a very good showing for APHOTIC. And unfortunately, though, with that being said, APHOTIC has had a hard time trying to replicate that success. You know, nothing but love for the crew there. But you know, that is a you know, something that is happening with the company. Either way, though, I do think in their prime, they did a pretty good job at holding down Ahono with COPIUM. And then when they got to Castle of Steel, having a good name for themselves off the rip. So APHOTIC to me gonna be holding down this 20 spot. But guys, we got 19 more to go. We got 19 more to go. So guys, let's get it going. Let's get it going, guys. Let's see who is number 19. 19 gonna be coming down, guys. Who is it? Number 19 gonna be getting it in, guys. And we got Aggression at 19, guys. Look, Aggression had to hold down the 19th spot. Now I know some people again might have some question marks, but let me explain here. I had to put the Aggression squad on here. I had to put them down, guys. Aggression's so low. Look, I know that they have a history. This is the Willyverse. Aggression in their prime for me was when Pluto was on fire and Marauders were down bad. Aggression held down Ebonscale and even managed to take Morningdale with an upset. They held on for a while until they did eventually lose. Sadly, Aggression was fizzling out fast by the time I got to catch them. Many Plutonian Marauders won't forget the hold of DSS and Aggression in Pluto. And that was one of the things for the Marauder faction. Aggression was kind of the standout, you know, was the standout company, and they did get an upset in Morningdale. They got a win in there, making it 2 territories for a faction that was tremendously down bad at the time. And I think they were fighting very tough competition at the time, so it was rough and it was very hard. But I do think that they were pretty strong when they showed up. They did hold down Ebonscale as well against very strong attackers at the time. So I think Aggression does deserve their stripes here. I will say though, at the same time, a lot of people know Aggression back in O-Run and other like you know, places. And I think that's something to be said was, you know, I didn't catch them when Aggression was like absolutely popping, because a lot of people said that like Aggression at some point was like very good and insane. And it's like, unfortunately, you know, by the time in the Willyverse happened, I didn't get to see much of that. So, but yeah, Aggression holding down number 19. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Holding down the 19th spot. Let's get it going, guys. Number 18 going to be coming in hot. 18 coming in high here, guys. Who do we have? We are going to be having MODX. MODX. Now, I know some people are going to be thinking, what? But we're going to be having MODX here, going to be holding down the 18th spot. And this is a lot about influence, right? A lot about what it is. Guys, boy, does MODX have a history. The heyday of MODX was a big one. MODX in their prime was pretty big. After players from O-Run began to flood Pluto, now you could say they dodged. Look, it doesn't matter. Moderate Expectations lost their land and moved to Valhalla and formed MODX. They held down multiple territories, including Everfall and Windsor on Valhalla for a long time. And I know, I'm not reading the chat, dude, but I know some people will be like, oh, dude, Valhalla was a PvE server, this and that. But, you know, at the same time, you know, the influence, I remember every time I catch a war, every time I call in, or, you know, shoutcast in Valhalla around the time, MODX was just unbeatable. And they did a very good job for a long time. They were like the standout main company on Valhalla for a hot second, and they held down a lot of territory. Like nobody could actually. A lot of people were having a very hard time beating MODX. So it's like I feel like they definitely earned their stripes. And whenever I was catching them, every time I caught one of their wars, whether it was an offense or a defense at the time, they always did fantastic. So I think MODX definitely deserves their spot up here for how much influence and how big, you know, how much, you know, in the prime that they did have. on Valhalla. Now, that being said, when they were moderate expectations, they did have a hard time. They did end up leaving Pluto because they were struggling. They couldn't get their territory back that they lost, and it is what it is. But that doesn't matter. They were very influential on the Valhalla server when they got there. I believe it was Valhalla. It could have been COS. I think it was Valhalla, but I know it was one of those. It wasn't until they met Technical that they were able to get taken down. But guys, let's get it going. Number 17 going to be coming down. Number 17 going to be coming in, guys. What is it? Who is it? Who do we got here? Number 17 coming in hot. We got BORPA. BORPA. A little bit of the new guard coming in here. A little bit of the new age going to be coming down. BORPA boys going to be coming in hot here. Holding it down, guys. They're going to be holding it down, guys. Let me give a little explanation. BORPA came in with a splash, and I think that has been their best moment so far. Without trying to have a recency bias, people won't forget when BORPA came onto the scene heavy in COS and took out the Goliath that was COPIUM at the time. Then having huge defense wars and attacks when COS was still in peak competitiveness. Although they weren't able to take Everfall or Windsward, they were a huge part of Copium's downfall. BORPA is still very present and active, so there's plenty of time to add onto this legacy. And BORPA was also formed pretty heavily from the Just Business members. They were a company already, but once JB kind of split, BORPA picked those guys up, and that's when I think their prime really was. Again, they got plenty more time to add to their legacy, but I do think that BORPA definitely has their stripes, you know, coming onto the scene the way they did too. It was crazy. You know, they took out, they pretty much had a very big part in Copium's downfall. And I remember Copium running it back, I think 2 or 3 times against the BORPA boys, and they couldn't stop them. They literally couldn't stop them. So like, you know, and if I recall, Copium couldn't even get the fort against BORPA. So BORPA definitely had some strength, and we can see what they do moving forward. Again, this company is still around. These guys are still around, doing their thing, holding it down. So we will see what the BORPA boys do in the future. But I do think, excuse me, I had to get some water, some Hydro homie. But I do think that, you know, for what they have done, at least in the initial splash of when they came on the scene, was very impactful. I think a lot, you would be very surprised how impactful I think BORPA's role was at the time and what happened to COS. That's my personal opinion, but I think BORPA was a big nail in some of the coffins. But let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's get it into 16. Who do we got at 16, guys? We got PRIM. We got PRIM at 16. Now, guys, look. Now, you guys, I remember, this is in their prime. We got PRIM at 16, holding down the 16th spot, guys. PRIM, boys, guys, no PRIM, no win. PRIM has been an integral part to the community for a while, but when was their actual power spike? I believe it was when they reformed on COS and made their way back to Pluto. They reformed on COS, proceeded to take down Just Business there and control other territories. Then they made their way back to Pluto and held down a few territories there as well. PRIM never really hit the peak of some other companies, but no matter who you are, you have heard about them, and that's true. No PRIM, no win. PRIM on top. You guys know how it goes. Now, a lot of people might not remember this. To be honest, a lot of people might not remember this, but at the time, whenever I first started shoutcasting, you know, I was casting a lot of Modern. Modern and PRIM had a good relationship, and a lot of the PRIM guys, you know, I talked to them. I talked to them heavy. Shout out to them. But I talked to a lot of the PRIM guys heavy, and they reformed. They went to Castle of Steel, and they got memed pretty heavy. When they went to fight in Castle of Steel, they fought against Just Business, and they smacked them down. We shoutcasted the war. Everybody was laughing at them, saying PRIM bad, this and that. Well, after about a week or two, they actually ended up taking down Just Business and got multiple other territories pretty convincingly. And then once they did that, they made their way back to Pluto. They made their way back to Pluto, and they did hold a couple territories. So, I mean, I do think that there is something to be said, you know, for the PRIM squad. I think that was probably their prime. They had a hard time. They ended up kind of fizzling out. You know, they ended up kind of fizzling out a little bit. It's unfortunate, you know, the situation that they were placed in, but they did fizzle out, and they tried to get some of that success. It never really kind of went back into their way. But again, you know, as I always say, you heard about them. You know about PRIM. You know what they've done for the game, and you know about it. So, guys, PRIM, whether you think they should be higher, lower, not on this list, or whatever it is, had a big impact in the community, for the community. So you'll love to see it. You'll love to see it, guys. Now let's go, guys. Let's get into number 15. Number 15 gonna be holding it down. Who is it? Who could it be? Who could it be? Number 15 gonna be coming in hot. What do we have? And we got TREN. TREN gonna be holding down the 15th spot here, guys. Got to put TREN on the list. TREN gonna be holding it down. Let's go. Let's go. Get that TREN, boys. That TREN slash Shedhard, you know, whatever they went by. But TREN slash Shedhard, this company has a huge history, but similar to Aggression in the Willyverse, I didn't get to see too much of it. I heard that they were really popping on O-Run and some other, you know, some other servers. At least that's what I heard. TREN in their prime was a force to be reckoned with. They held down Monarch's Bluff and eventually got another territory when Marama was at its peak of competition. And guys, this is when Marama was at its peak competition. I'm not just meaning that lightly. This is when Marama was on fire. At one point, they were looked at as the best competition and last hope of anyone who could beat SUPPLE around that time. I remember SUPPLE, again, very strong and holding down, and nobody could really beat him. And TREN was, everybody was like, dude, TREN, they got strength in the roster. If they could focus up on the calls, then they can make it happen. And we saw them take good companies to 4B and things like that. But unfortunately, sadly, they couldn't ever pull it off. But the players and community around the time know the strength that TREN had. They may not have been as like dominant or influential as some of these other companies, but I do think that TREN was definitely extremely strong for their time, and they held down a lot of the strength of the community, you know, for the community, and especially when fighting SUPPLE at the time, everybody was kind of looking for somebody to beat some of the Goliaths like SUPPLE, COPIUM, things like that, and TREN was kind of trying to fight that good fight. You can still see some of these guys around too, by the way. You know, a lot of TREN, you know, they're spread across a tournament at the moment, and you can still find them around. So TREN, shout out to the homies there. And, you know, they definitely, I think that was their peak, at least in the Willyverse. So let's get it going, guys. Number 14 going to be coming down. Number 14 going to be coming down, guys. Let's go. Number 14 coming in hot, and who do we got? We got BOOGAFLU. BOOGAFLU. Now, guys, look, we got the Booga Boys. I had to put the BOOGAFLU boys on here, and they're not doing bad. They're pretty impactful. They're pretty impactful where we're at. Now, guys, the Booga Boys. I believe there are even 2 moments BOOGAFLU could be here. 2 moments. They had a good run in Castle of Steel, but I believe that are actually in their prime as we speak. Since coming to Valhalla with a lot of other COS companies, Booga's hit their stride and they stand out. They control multiple territories, including Windsward, which they keep getting off and on. Although they left COS, they're having a stride here in Valhalla. Looking forward to see how they are going to continue influencing the server. I wanted to put Boog here because I do think one of the big things that we have seen since the shift of companies going to go from leaving Castle of Steel and making their way over here on to you know, onto Valhalla. I mean, out of all the companies, I think BOOGAFLU stands out some of the most. You know, I think they do. I think they, and especially as of recent, I think they're definitely some of the strongest competition there, and they're making a name for themselves. They're definitely in their stride. And to answer what some I put here, they have 2 moments. One of the other moments that BOOGAFLU had was in Castle Steel when they ended up taking 3 territories all within a week. Out of nowhere, BOOGAFLU just popped off, and they were taking a ton of territory, but then they were Booga-bullied. Once they Booga-bullied off of Castle of Steel, but that doesn't matter because you know what? I think they're definitely in their stride. They found their stride and they're making their way into continuing that legacy. We'll have to see how they do moving forward. So yeah, you'll love to see it, guys. You'll love to see it. The Booga Boys. Shout out, guys. But let's get into the 13th spot. 13th spot gonna be coming down, guys. What do we have here? 13 gonna be coming in hot, and we got MODTC at 13. Now MODTC at 13 spot here. Not bad. Not bad. MODTC gonna be holding it down. Let's go. Let's see how it goes here. I will tell you guys why I think MODTC was coming together. Was a coming together of Take Care and Modern. These two powerhouse companies came together and to try and fight. They did pretty good as well. In their prime, they had multiple territories on Marama when it was at their most competitive. And I think that was when they were prime. Now let me talk a little bit about MODTC. Once I get through the text, I'll talk a little bit. Although never being able to beat SUPPLE, now that's a kind of an asterisk. MODTC proved they were very competitive and they could bring it together when they needed to. Now I think this is the thing about MODTC. In their prime does not fit MODTC because it's hard because you can be consistent, but when it's almost like, it's like you're consistent, but like, it's like the problem with MODTC was hitting that consistency, like in the prime consistency, in my opinion. I think that was kind of what kind of messed with MODTC. It was like every time I felt like they were going to pop off, it just wasn't as what you would think, but that doesn't mean that they weren't extremely powerful. MODTC, especially on Marama, was some of the best competition to fight some of the big boys, and they definitely had multiple territories. They did good. Now I put an asterisk next to not being able to beat Supple, because if I recall, my memory could be wrong, guys, don't quote me on this, but if I recall, MODTC actually beat Supple before Supple went to Marama. If my memory serves me right, I swear to God it was First Light. I swear to God it was First Light, or it was one of those territories. I could be wrong, but this was before but this was before Supple kind of started going crazy. But guys, MODTC holding down the 13th spot. You'd love to see it. Shout out to the homies. But yeah, that was a coming together of Take Care and Modern. So guys, number 12 going to be coming in hot, guys. Who do we have? What do we got? At number 12, we are going to be having STATPAD. Now I know you guys are like, STATPAD, what? No, I think STATPAD definitely deserves this spot, and let me explain why. I think STATPAD, it was very influential and very strong, especially in a moment. So guys, get the blickies. STATPAD was a fast and fierce company that was a convergence of Imperial, Trojan Trolls, TREN, and others. Their prime for me was when they dominated Valhalla, taking a ton of territories before making the decision to come to COS to fight against Supple. When they got to COS, they did eventually get a territory, but it wasn't as easy as Valhalla was, and we saw them group up with Dropouts and aid to beating Supple. They're still around today. Now, so my opinion about STATPAD is I do think that, man, they definitely came on the scene fast, and I think they had this kind of like Blitzkrieg strategy. It's kind of nuts. It's like out of nowhere, STATPAD was just popping off. They took over like all of Valhalla and then went straight to COS. But they did struggle when they got to COS. But I think it's the Valhalla part for me that made STATPAD stand out. Around the time, you had companies like Sinaloa and others who were very strong and dominant, owning these main territories. And STATPAD came in and spanked them and was like, nah, this is all ours now, like out of nowhere. And I think that how that influenced the game at the time was very important. I think it did put a lot of agency for STATPAD. So you'll love to see it. Shout out to the STATPAD boys. Shout out to the STATPAD boys, guys. Let's go. Number 11. And number 11, guys, we are going to be having Technical at number 11, coming in hot, guys. Technical holding down the 11th spot here. Holding down 11, guys. Let's go. Let me explain, guys. Technical has had a roller coaster of a time on the scene. They've even had multiple in their prime moments. I would say their best has been in Valhalla once they left COS and held down 4 territories very convincingly. However, they did have another stint in Valhalla where they took over almost the whole map. Tech has been through a lot when it comes to drama. But one thing is for sure, that even with the lows, there's been some big highs for them. And I do think, like I said, kind of a two-parter here for Technical. Before Technical made their way first to Castle of Steel, they pretty much owned almost all of Valhalla. Like, these guys took out MODX. They pretty much took over all of Valhalla, and they made their way over to Castle of Steel. And now when they got there, they had problems. They had some internal conflicts. And what happened is they eventually made their way back to Valhalla. And this is when they hit their stride. In my opinion, this is when they hit their stride. They went Marauder. They went Marauder faction, and they ended up holding down multiple territories pretty convincingly for a good time. And that was including Everfall and Windsward. So I think they were very impactful, and we just saw as of recently that reign kind of coming to an end. So you hate to see it, but it is what it is. But I think Technical deserved of this spot here for how they influenced the game multiple times even. But I do think that Valhalla, they really influenced Valhalla pretty heavy when they left Castle of Steel, guys. So let's go, guys. But guys, Rest here, weary traveler. Top 10 coming up. Top 10 gonna be coming up here, guys. We are gonna be, just take a breather. Take a breather. We got more coming in, guys. We gotta take a rest. We gotta chill for a second. We got more coming. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I do wanna say, I gotta do a little plug, you know what I mean? I do gotta say, if you guys are enjoying the stream, if you guys aren't enjoying, you know, I put a lot of time into this. I spent almost 2 weeks working on this stuff, trying to get the companies down, guys. Consider hitting a follow. We're going on 7,000. And maybe hit a sub too. We got to take a little breaksy here for a second, but we're going to be getting into it. Nothing but love for you guys. I'm not reading chat because I know you guys go crazy. Chat's also, I see it's zooming. But just know I love and respect all of your opinions, even if it's good or bad. It's nothing but love. So let's get it going, guys. Let's get it going, guys. Number 10 coming in. Number 10 coming in. 10 coming in hot, guys. And we got Just Business. Just Business coming in hot here, guys. JB, the JB boys coming in hot, guys. Just Business holding it down. Holding down the 10 spot, and it's Just Business, baby. These guys were absolute terrors on Castle of Steel. Business in their prime was pretty much most of COS history. These guys were dominating COS for a while, owning Everfall and Windsward and other territories for the longest time. Eventually, as a company, they did fizzle out, but you can still see a lot of their players around today, and a good chunk are even in the BORPA squad. Although JB isn't around these days, anyone on COS will tell you that Just Business was scary and held it down for a very long time. And I would say their prime, it was hard to kind of say a prime for JB, but every time we were in COS, or I would cast COS, it was Just Business was just so strong. And I would say it probably was around the time when I did first kind of start casting it. And that's still okay. You know, as soon as I kind of got in Castle of Steel, it was like for a long time there. It was like, damn, who is going to beat Just Business? They did get some fierce competition eventually. But yeah, Just Business, these guys, they're very strong. They're great players. And again, they're still around to this day. A lot of them still in that BORPA squad. Kind of all over the place, but again, it's Just Business, baby. These guys representing COS proudly. Let's go, guys. Number 9, guys. Who do we got? We got the handsome blokes, the Giga Chads, holding down the number 9th spot. The bloke boys, the Giga Chads himself, the Point Union, the meanest cats. You guys know them well, holding down the number 9, guys, the Giga Chads themselves. Blokes are still very current and popular in a popular company in New World. But what was their prime? You know, that's the thing. What was their prime? They're consistent. What was their prime? I would actually say it was before all of Marama companies got to COS. They were known to be Just Business's top competition. One day, they eventually took Everfall, Windsward, and more, coming together for an explosion of blokes. Once Marama people came, they were the #1 COS company with hope of fighting them. These guys are persistent and great players who are still around today. Also, they're the meanest cat. So yeah, so I think the handsome blokes definitely deserve it of this spot. I think their prime, like I said, was right before Marama kind of hit the scene over there. You could see like they took out JB convincingly. They took multiple territories so fast. It was just like an onslaught of handsome blokes, of handsome boys, and they did a very good job. Nothing but love for the bloke boys. We still see them around. They are Marauder faction these days. They're stationed over there in Marama Sauce. So nothing but love for the blokes. Again, they got some of the best memes as well. So a lot of people respect the blokes. And like I said, when I say they were the #1 COS company with hopes of fighting Marama, I mean that. I mean, a lot of people, COS was pretty down bad when Marama made their way onto Castle of Steel. And I think blokes was consistent, persistent, and did not want to, you know, lose hope, lose sight. And they're still around today. So guys, shout out to the handsome blokes. So guys, let's check out number 8. Number 8 going to be coming in hot, guys. Number 8 coming in hot, guys. Who do we have? What do we got? We are going to be having, number 8 going to be holding it down. Holding down the 8th spot. I know some people are like, what, not higher, could be lower. I think is still number 8. Now let me explain. You can hear the chants all across Eternum. In their prime is kind of nuts. They had 4, I believe, at one point, to being 2 being Everfall, or 4 territories, including 2 being Everfall and Brightwood. At a time where Pluto was on fire with competition, got a lot of shit for murking, but they were known to be a 5-man company, but that didn't stop them from being able to pull together insane rosters and competing with the best. Eventually, the murking did catch up to them, but their legacy lives on today. Now, I took a quick glance at the chat. Some people are saying they should have been higher. My opinion is I think is obviously a fantastic company, and the influence they had was pretty good. The problem was it was kind of short-lived. It was kind of short-lived. And whenever they were owning like 4 territories, it was kind of around the time a lot of O-runs started making their way back in. And I do think they were very strong, but when as the influence, they did influence the server a lot. I mean, look, it influenced my channel too. Like getting Deuce in here and stuff was hilarious. Nothing but love for the boys. But it was really cool to see. So nothing but love for and I know some people are saying they should be higher, but when I say the murking did catch up to them, eventually the downfall of was what made them so good. Eventually the people who they were murking for or the people who were murking for them eventually got tired of it and was like, look, you're not. There was like money problems and things, and things kind of went to crap. If I remember correctly, again, guys, don't eat me alive. I could be forgetting, but I'm pretty sure that was what happened. Yeah, very strong company still at the end of the day, and also kind of set a precedent for the channel of how I feel about murking, because people always ask me, how do I feel about murking? Well, you know what, man, we had a 5-man company that managed to organize 1 million mercs and be as influential as they were. So shout out to nothing but love for the squad, guys. Let's check out number 7. Number 7 gonna be coming down hot, guys. Who is it? Who is it, guys? Let's go. Let's go. We got Take Care holding down the 7th spot. TC Take Care holding down number 7, guys. Let's go. The Take Care boys holding down 7th here. You love to see it. Nothing but love for the squad. But guys, most people remember Take Care, and how could you forget? These guys have an impressive history, but these guys in their prime was something scary. In Pluto, they battled Modern back and forth for Windsward for a while. They owned 4 territories for the longest time ever in Pluto. This was when they were at their best from the Willyverse. I say from the Willyverse, guys, because we know that Take Care, they pretty much took over all of Moro at the time. Went into Croclia, was in the process of taking care of all of Croclia. So in the Willyverse, this is when they were in. They were known for their extremely strong group play and ability to blitzcrank their opponents. Sadly, they were kind of fizzling out and eventually quit doing things as a company, but there are plenty of these players running around low-key representing out there. And I do think that's what happened. And the thing with Take Care is as soon as I started shoutcasting, we actually saw Take Care kind of take more of a backseat kind of role. They kind of started chilling a little bit more. Take Care kind of was like, I don't know, something was fizzling out in the company. They did a good job battling Modern back and forth, but honestly, they were kind of just, they kind of chilled. And I do think, though, they still had a big influence on the server, though. I mean, they were pretty much the main competition for Modern, fighting back and forth, and it was just an absolute bloodbath on who would own Windsward at one point. And look, I may have made a diss track on these guys, but you know what? Honest to God, these guys have only been nothing but nice to me, really. Aside from a few offhand comments, but no, look, it is what it is. Nothing but love for Take Care there. And I think holding down number 7 is pretty good for them. So let's go. Let's go, guys. Number 6 going to be coming in hot, guys. Number 6, and we got Dropouts. Number 6 going to be the Dropouts boys, guys. Going to be holding down the 6th spot. Let's go, the Dropout boys. Holding down 6, and now, guys, this isn't in their prime. Now, guys, in their prime, this isn't about overall consistency. Let me specify. This is not about overall consistency. This is in their prime. The Dropouts, the West Coast squad, really putting in work when they needed to the most. They have been fighting for a while, but they were in their prime somewhat recently on COS when they owned 3 or 4 territories as Marauders, and then eventually swapped and teamed up with STATPAD and ended up taking down the behemoth Supple. Still around and prevalent today. These guys are a new world staple, and I got nothing but respect for this company. They transferred to Pluto, then Marama, then COS, all to have some good competition to PvP against. And Dropouts, again, representing the West Coast. These guys first came onto the scene over there in Pluto, looking for competition. These guys are absolute Chaz. The West Coast was kind of dying at the time, looking for more. They had a hard time on Pluto. They kind of had a hard time on a little bit of a hard time on Marama. They started getting their stride, but again, when they got to Castle of Steel, they took multiple multiple territories, and then eventually, like I said, teaming up with STATPAD. But they were the people who took down SUPPLE. So catching a win from the SUPPLE squad. Dropouts, I think, holds down the 6th spot. These guys have a big history. They actually used to be known as Dawn Guard, in case anybody didn't know. In the West Coast, they were known as Dawn Guard. So shout out to the West Coast, and shout out to, it is what it is. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to the Dropouts for holding down this 6th spot here. Let's go, guys. Number 5, top 5, gonna be coming in hot, guys. Number 5, guys. Who is it? We are in the top 5. Who do we got? We got COPIUM. COPIUM in the 5th spot, guys. COPIUM holding down the 5th spot here. COPIUM coming in hot with number 5. Let's go, guys. COPIUM, it's hard to say where COPIUM was in their prime because these guys always seem to be in their prime. I think it was for sure in Marama when they were holding down Everfall plus multiple other territories for the longest time. On the same faction as SUPPLE, COPIUM kind of got a reputation as people who were scared to fight SUPPLE. However, the same people saying that had a very hard time beating COPIUM when they literally never slotted SUPPLE. I'm just saying, guys, I don't know. Like, I've gotten so many conversations with COPIUM about like the SUPPLE thing and all this, and they barely ever, to my knowledge, for the most part, they didn't slot SUPPLE like at all. And if they did, it wasn't like much at all. So although COPIUM ended up having a big split in COS, they're now on Eden and looks like they are ready to build another empire. Again, shout out to COPIUM. I do think, like I said in the beginning, they were always in their prime. I do think it was best on Marama, though. I think that's when it stood out the most. They went to Castle of Steel and they ended up kind of doing their thing over there. Also, just a little brief history of COPIUM. They come in from Ahono. So Ahono is where they originate from, and they came in representing Ahono pretty well. So COPIUM holding down the 5th spot. Like I said, they're still around. They are in Eden at the moment. And again, they just took Windsward and Brightwood. So these guys looking to build another empire. They're still hanging out. But I do think in their prime, it had to be in that Marama era. So let's go, guys. Number 4 gonna be coming in hot, guys. Who is it? Number 4 coming in, guys. What do we have? Who do we have? We got EGOT. EGOT holding the 4th spot. Now, guys, let me explain. EGOT coming in at the 4th spot. I gotta explain, guys. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, what? But I think EGOT definitely holds down. Now, guys, the very controversial EGOT. Hell, people might give me crap for even putting them on this list. That's how much EGOT has impacted the game. EGOT just did what I haven't seen any company do in a while. They literally held every territory on Orofina. Although a bit of a toxic move, this still cements how strong this company is in PvP, and destroying everyone on their server to the point of all companies leaving says a lot about how strong they are, and in politics as well. Also, I put in parentheses, let's not forget about them running off SUPPLE alts either. Again, I am not praising EGOT for killing a server, but as a spectator, I am impressed about how they were able to pull it off at a time where I feel like wars are getting harder. And I think that's something, I feel like I put this very well. I know a lot of people give EGOT shit, and even me shit sometimes when I'm not supporting EGOT, but at the same time, from an outsider looking in, with the way they played their politics, the way they played their strength on Orofina was undoubtedly very strong. It was undoubtedly influential. I mean, it is what it is. It's like, that's how it goes. The influence, the influence that these guys had is undoubtable. I mean, a lot of people left Orofina because of these guys, and it's not good for the game. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about influence, when you're talking about strength and roster, when you're talking about these things, EGOT is a standout, company for me. And so, like I said, I haven't seen a company do that in a long time, and not that it's a good thing to do, but either way. So, guys, top three, guys, let's go. Top 3, guys, let's go, guys. Who is in that 3rd spot? 3rd spot coming in, guys, and we got Modern holding down number 3. Modern holding down the 3rd spot here. You love to see it. Shout out to Modern. Shout out to the homies. And guys, you guys know Modern holds a special place in my heart, but let's talk about it. Modern on top 3. The Modern squad of Pluto was something you did not want to fight against. In their prime, Modern held 4+ territories, including Windsward Everfall, for weeks and maybe even months, during a time when Pluto was extremely strong, eventually leading to them being the #1 target to other countries. companies that were making their way onto Pluto, although they may have been struggling in recent times. And we don't talk about Eden. Everyone knows how strong Modern was at one point and how invincible they felt to fight against. Everything was good for Modern until a post was made on Reddit about them wanting more competition. And they got it. But the thing about Modern is, again, I got nothing but love for the Modern company here. I know a lot of people, I've said plenty of times, Modern was definitely some of the very first companies, of the companies that kind of let me cast a war and really got me in the mix. So this is not bias either. These guys were very strong. They held down Pluto like absolute beasts for a very long time, and convincingly too. Hell, and about that Reddit post, I believe it was Chris Turk. Again, don't quote me on this, but let me check. Don't quote me on this, but I believe Chris Turk was actually made a Reddit post about how they wanted more competition, and it kind of got over to O-Run, and we ended up seeing some things happen. But Modern, again, holding down this spot. They were the beast of Pluto. If anybody was on Pluto and remembers, Modern was that company. That was the company to beat. That was the company that nobody could beat. So you'll love to see a shout out to Modern for that. But guys, number 2 gonna be coming in hot, guys. Number 2, let's go. Number 2, guys, and we got EPHERIUM coming in number 2, guys. I gotta put EPHERIUM in the second slot here. Now let me explain. EPHERIUM holding down the second spot. Let me explain, guys, before you guys pop off here. EPHERIUM number 2. Now let me explain before you grab your pitchforks. This is the Willyverse we are in here. EPHERIUM in their prime to me was when they made their way from O-Run over to Pluto and beat Modern on their second attack. Now, second attack against them. They eventually took more land, but kind of chilled. They had huge strength and bulldozed most companies, but the reality is they quit shortly after they merged onto Pluto. Some of them went on to make Soup Kitchen and Marama. Rumor has it some EPHERIUM are still out there waiting for the great leader Alec to return. So that was EPHERIUM definitely. Everybody tells the tales of EPHERIUM, and still said to this day how strong this company was. However, like I said, when EPHERIUM got to Pluto, I think they were looking to make a statement. They wanted to beat Modern and just be like, we're chilling. And that's what they did. But I do think that does that amount of influence, that amount of strength was just so convincing, right? I think everybody thought Modern was absolutely unbeatable, and then EPHERIUM comes over and just smacks them. It did take 2 attacks though, but it was very convincing, and then Modern had a very hard time fighting back, and you hate to see it, but EPHERIUM, I think, holding down the second spot pretty well. I think they definitely deserve it, but unfortunately, like I said, it kind of fizzled out fast, and they kind of just they kind of quit shortly after. So you hate to see it, but EPHERIUM has a legacy like none other in the game, so EPHERIUM definitely has that legacy underneath their belt. But guys, number 1, guys, who is it? You guys know who number 1 is. You guys know who it is, guys, and it's gonna be SUPPLE. SUPPLE. So SUPPLE gonna be holding down the number 1 spot, guys. You guys know how it goes. It is what it is. SUPPLE's in the chat. Now, who other than SUPPLE, right? When we're talking about companies in their prime, where do I even put SUPPLE? They're literally always in their prime. Since SUPPLE moved to Marama from Pluto, they became something different, going on the longest never lost streak I have personally ever seen or heard of in New World. It wasn't until literally a few weeks ago that they finally lost 1 defense, but quickly ran it back and are back to unbeatable status. I would say their prime was Marama, but COS has been pretty convincing for them as well. Everyone knows Willie for Let's Go and Agency, but I have also said plenty of times when I have to watch a company get destroyed by SUPPLE over and over, SUPPLE. We have all said it is what it is. I think SUPPLE holding down the spot here is pretty strong. Again, it's hard to pick a time frame for these guys because they're just so strong, man. They did leave Pluto, but when they left Pluto, they went to Marama and they formed some of the strongest company. I don't know, just the company just hardened. It just got insane. So SUPPLE's still around to this day. I don't really know what SUPPLE's doing much nowadays. But I know they are around. So shout out to SUPPLE. Shout out to you guys. It is what it is. SUPPLE holding down that first spot, guys. And just a little quick look at the overall roster here, the overall rankings here, guys. a quick look at it. Just want to kind of get a nice little picture here for everybody. Looks pretty good. It ended up being 667 when it comes to factions. I actually thought that, I can't believe it was that incredibly balanced at the end of the day. But it is what it is. The top 20 company power rankings in their prime. But guys, one more thing I just gotta say before I go. I gotta have a message from Willie. I know this is sappy and I'm not trying to kill the vibe, but I really do want to say thank you. Thank you all for changing my life. I never thought when I picked up New World that would have such an impact on myself, family, and even career. But I would be nothing without you guys. I went from a stay-at-home dad to a full-time streamer in a matter of weeks. It's been a dream, but I know I couldn't have done it without you guys. From the people who let me catch their POVs to the companies who let me cast their wars and are always respectful to me, even if I got to bring out the flutes. It's nothing but love, and it has been an amazing year of New World for all of us. It's crazy. People say I saved New World, and I'll never forget that. Whether you continue to play New World or leave, I will always be here for a conversation and a good time. It's nothing but love, and I'm gonna look back. I'm gonna read the chat whenever I get this on YouTube. But it really is nothing but love. I hope you guys enjoyed the top 20 here. I wanted to bring everyone together and just reminisce on some of the old times. We're a year down in New World, and I just wanted to reminisce on it. I just wanted to talk about it. It's